All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're diving into a really short, but man, an incredibly powerful collection of poems by Christopher Kessner called Promises and Punishment. And trust me, this isn't just about pretty words on a page. It's a raw, totally unfiltered story about a life that's defined by work, the surprising, kind of tragic cost of getting what you want, and what it really means to build a life with your own two hands. The collection kicks off with this line, and it just hits you, you know? I was born between heaven and hell. That sets the tone perfectly. This is not going to be some clean, simple story. Nope. It's going to be honest, it's going to be messy, and it's going to be deeply human. We're starting this journey right in the thick of it all. And that's exactly how we're going to tackle this explainer, like a journey. We're going to follow this guy's life through four different parts, four poems that almost feel like a modern-day gospel. But, not a gospel of saints and divinity, but one of pure grit, sweat, and the hard realities of a blue-collar life. Okay, so first up, we've got Chapter 1, The Blue-Collar Apostle. Right away, that title tells you everything. It's twisting a familiar idea, right? This isn't a story about some holy figure in the clouds. It's about a worker, a man of the earth. The poem just lays out this stark contrast. On one side, you've got your classic miracle worker, the one who walks on water, turns water into wine, the whole deal. But our guy, the blue-collar apostle, he says it straight up. I can't walk on water. His miracle is turning water into sweat and blood through just sheer back-breaking work. His power isn't magic. It's physical. It's real. And believe me, it costs him something. And this line, it just perfectly nails his whole identity. His calling isn't about getting rich or famous, that glittering gold. No, his calling is the grit and grind. His value, his worth, it's in the spark of his steel on a grinding wheel. That's where he finds his purpose. So if work is his calling, what does a guy like this actually believe in? Well, that brings us to our second part, which is based on the poem Faith of the Calloused Hands. This really digs into the personal, down-to-earth code that he lives by. Right off the bat, the poem makes this super important distinction. Our guy says, I am not religious, I am spiritual. See, this isn't about rejecting faith. It's about him defining it on his own terms. His beliefs aren't something he just reads in a book. It's something he lives, something he forges every single day through his actions. So what does that spirituality actually look like? Well, check out how he redefines these basic religious ideas. When he kneels, it's not for some god in the sky. It's an act of respect for the earth, for new life, for helping people. His commandments? They're not from a holy book. They're the wisdom passed down to him and the strict code he holds himself to. And his church? Forget a fancy building. His church is the home he built with his own hands, the land he works, and those quiet moments on his porch as the sun goes down. And this, right here, is the ultimate statement of his faith. He's not working hard for some reward in the afterlife. Why would he? He's already built his paradise right here, right now. For him, the promise of the next season, the next crop, that's more real and more valuable than any heaven someone could promise him. Okay, so we've seen his world of work and belief. Now, the story takes a sharp turn inward, into the messy, complicated world of emotions and relationships. This third part is called A Husband's Lament, and it gets incredibly raw. The poem basically asks this question. It's all about the inner life of a man whose society has told his whole life to be tough, be quiet, be like a stone. But on the inside, he's just boiling over with these huge conflicting emotions. And the poem does not hold back. The language is so visceral. I scream and yell, I pound my fist. He's putting on this act of masculinity that the world wants to see, even as it's just tearing him apart from the inside. But right when you think this is just a poem about rage, it completely flips the script. Anger wears my name, but so does love. It's this beautiful, stunning admission that under that hard, stone-like surface, there is this deep, vulnerable capacity for love. And this line, this is the emotional peak. After all that grit and struggle, what's his number one fear? It's not losing his land, it's not getting sick, it's losing that intimate connection. The day he can't remember the scent of the woman he loves. It shows you that his greatest strength is also where he's most vulnerable. All right, so our journey brings us to the final and honestly, the most tragic chapter of his life, the crown of shame. This part explores the gut-punch irony at the center of his whole life. What happens when you finally get everything you ever worked for? The big metaphor here is the gilded crown. It's supposed to represent success, the American dream, the big payoff for a lifetime of labor. But for our guy, this crown isn't a trophy. It's heavy, it's painful, and as the title says, it's a crown of shame. And you can just see this painful split between his past and his present. His past, the grit, was all about dirt, sweat, and meaningful hard work. But his present, the gold, is all about comfort that just leads to stagnation. The aches in his back aren't from a hard day's work anymore. They're from weakness. The authentic life that made him who he is, it's been replaced by an empty one that his success built. And here's the really tragic part. He did all of this for one reason: to protect his family. His whole life's mission was built on this promise, to spare his kids the struggle that he had to go through. It was all an act of love. And there it is, the devastating paradox. He succeeded, he gave them everything, and in doing so, he failed them in the most profound way. He realizes that the very struggle he saved them from was the thing that forged his own character, his own strength. By giving them an easy life, he took away the one thing that really mattered. So, after all that, what do we take away from this journey of grit and gold? Let's try to tie it all together. This man's life story leaves us with some pretty heavy takeaways. First, that our identity isn't just who we are, it's what we do. It's forged in labor. Second, that real faith can be found right under our feet, in the real world around us. Third, and this is a big one, that success, the thing we're all chasing, doesn't automatically mean you'll feel fulfilled. And finally, that meaning isn't found in being comfortable. It's found in the challenges we face and fight to overcome. And you know what makes all of this feel so real? The author, Christopher Kessner, is a truck driver. This isn't some academic writing poetry from an ivory tower. This story comes from a place of lived experience. It's written with dirt under its fingernails, straight from the heart of a working America. And so we're left with a really tough question, one that gets to the heart of the blue-collar apostle's tragedy. He thought he was doing the right thing, the kind thing, but that kindness ended up being a curse. And it forces us to ask ourselves, is the greatest cruelty we can show the next generation, the biggest disservice, to spare them from the very struggles that are needed to build a meaningful life?